Patreon.com/the Walk-Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there. All right, first one comes in from @BlueJaysLifer on Twitter. DM'd us and said, "Hey boys, great stuff with Arden yesterday. Scott, your sound is way off, man."
So let's just
Okay.
get right into it.
You guys never mentioned what you thought of the batting order could be this year. Any thoughts?
Yeah,
Scott,
I love this. I love this question.
I
And I
hate
know
it.
we talked about it a little bit off the top, just that and I know we're going to get comments, and feel free to let us know what you think, everybody. Obviously, there's a lot of different takes you can have on this. So personally, I don't think the batting order is going to make a huge difference. What I do hope out of the batting order this year is that it's a little bit more flexible than we saw last year. I'd like to see when there are troubles or downfalls, maybe a little bit of lineup manipulation is in order. I'd like to see the stats be kind of combed over, which obviously they're going to do, and try and maximize your run output by what players you're putting where. So in the perfect world, so here's the thing with this batting order. I'm going to be very honest up front. I hate Springer in the leadoff spot. I haven't liked him there for a long time. I know that statistically he's one of the best leadoff hitters baseball has seen in the last 10 years. And to kind of steal a straw out of Arden Zwelling's, this is a terrible analogy.
You're really painting yourself into a pickle
Painted
here.
myself into a corner here, but just to take a feather out of Arden Zwelling's hat. All right, when we were talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a listener asked him if next year when Chapman's gone, if there's any consideration in moving Vladdy from first to third. And Arden's response was basically, you might be able to do that, but he's got a gold glove at first base. Everything has worked out so well with him at first. Why change what works? So I do understand that with Springer. I just know how many leadoff home runs he hits, and damn, it would be nice to see those home runs come with someone on base. But we all know Springer is going to be this team's leadoff hitter as long as he's healthy. So let's go Springer in the leadoff. From there, I would like to see Vlad hitting second.
Why?
I know Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s numbers are much better hitting third. They just are. And for whatever reason that is, it's how the splits have worked out. And they're even a fairly substantial amount of plate appearances to back it up. The sample size isn't tiny. He is a 900 OPS hitter in the third spot and just under 800 in the second spot. But I like Vlad in the 2-hole for a couple of reasons. Number one, they finally went out and got those lefty bats that we've been waiting for. Good lefty bats in Dalton Varsho and Brandon Belt. And that is who I would like to see hitting third. I actually don't even care who it is. I would experiment a little with that and see what works, what sticks. But I would love to see Dalton Varsho. Let's go with Varsho in number 3. I like Bo in the cleanup spot. I wouldn't move him. I like Bo at 4. I like Belt at 5. By the way, this is for a right-handed hitting pitcher or a right-handed throwing pitcher. Sorry, buddy.
No, I'm just going to sigh and I'm going to bite my tongue till my turn. Go ahead.
Yeah. So then I would go Kirk in the 6th spot, Chapman 7, Merrifield 8, Kiermaier 9, something like that. For left-handed hitters, I'd do Springer leadoff again, and then Vlad, Kirk, Bo, Espinal, Jano, Chapman, Merrifield, Lopez. I don't know. Like, throw out all the righties, obviously. No? Okay.
No, this is why I hate this question. It's like looking at pictures of someone else's kids.
Yeah.
Like it puts me right to sleep. Okay. I don't know if your wife does this or not. My wife loves showing me like TikToks and Instagram reels of TikToks, because that's a thing, of like funny stuff kids are doing, like babies, of like kids that we don't know who any of these people are.
Mhm.
and my wife and I have a biological daughter that we share. She's a great stepmom, but she doesn't have a biological daughter of her own. She never went through that like 0 through 4 age. So I've like seen all that shit with my own kid.
Yeah.
So like seeing someone else do shenanigans, I'm just like, I don't care. So it's so bad. I don't care. And that's like
Yeah.
the biggest reason I want to have another kid with her is just so she'll stop showing me TikToks of cute random kids that mean nothing to me.
Uh,
So I hope she doesn't see this clip. With that in mind, batting order is the same thing where it's like everyone's got a strong opinion. It You said it yourself. This is the order for right-handed hitters. This is the order for left-handed pitchers. Well, it's going to be different if Alec Manoah's pitching because then Alejandro Kirk is for sure our catcher versus Danny Jansen versus there's just so many variables and I we talked about this before we went on. It's like the splits, the statistics and the data on versus lefties versus righties is like so much more than just that too. Now there's like, well, this
oh,
guy
for
hits
sure.
he hits well against hard throwing lefties, but not lefties with movement, or he can't touch a curveball, but he's great against the slider. So depending on the matchups, and there's just when we talked to Arden yesterday and we asked him about the fifth starting pitcher, he kind of I couldn't put my finger on why I don't like talking batting order until he said this, but he's like, it's basically who pitches game 5 of the
Yeah.
season. And then after that, it's going to be a case by case, day by day situation for who is quote unquote the fifth starter on this team.
Mhm.
And that's like the batting order. It's like, what are we going to get opening day? And then beyond that, there's
It's a
just
countdown to
so many
playoffs. Like,
variables.
beyond that, it's a countdown to playoffs,
Yeah. And
and
it's
you're just
like,
trying to find out what works for then.
yeah, it's like we have the question we have the variables at catcher, right? We have Kirk and Jansen, gonna be pretty close to a 50-50 split, maybe sixty
Mhm.
forty either direction. I wouldn't be surprised based on bad tacos and performance and all the
Yep.
rest, right? Second base, we got Espinal, we got Merrifield, we got Kevin Biggio. I don't know who's gonna get playing time. I think it's gonna be a hot hand situation,
Yeah.
right? Um, Outfield, I don't know who the fourth outfielder is. It's gonna be someone who used to play second base regularly, probably. And then you're gonna have bad tacos on
Santiago.
top of that. Springer, hope him good health this year. Kiermaier, hope him good health this year. These guys do have a lot of ink on their medical records, if you know what I mean, right? Um, when Springer's not in the lineup, it's a totally different lineup because you need someone else in the leadoff spot. So that changes everything. There's just such a trickle down effect. It exhausts me. So I don't like doing these sorts of homework assignments, but I did. I have two approaches for the batting lineup. This is just a philosophical approach. Pencil in the names however you like. But here's my two approaches to the batting lineup. Do you do a deep top, shallow bottom? So with this strategy, you're putting your best players at the top. And then the second half of the lineup, you're just hoping that those good guys got on base and you're having your best hopes at bringing them home before you run out of outs in the inning, right? So in this situation, again, probably George Springer leading off, even though we don't like it, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. I'm just going with Bo at 2, Vlad at 3, so I'm nothing sexy changes here.
Yeah.
Then I got Brandon Belt at 4. He's our cleanup hitter. He's left-handed, mix up the order, all that stuff. Then we got Chapman, because I think Chapman is our next best hitter on the team. So he is our next best chance to get those guys in. Followed by Varsho, followed by Jansen, and then we got Merrifield and Kiermaier at the bottom because I think those are our weakest hitters of our everyday players.
Yes.
Can we agree on that? So that's one approach. The other approach, and I like this one better, and again, mix and match these names with whoever's healthy and based on pitching
Who's
matchups
performing
and
when?
whatever.
Yeah.
Sure. But we do 2 mini lineups within the batting order. We do a 1 through 4 approach, and then we do a 5 through 8 approach as a second version, a B team of
Right.
of 1 through 4, and then number 9 is the pseudo leadoff. So in this situation, it would be Springer, Bo, Vlad, and Belt. So nothing has changed there. I think that's our best 4. But then I bring Merrifield up to hit number 5.
Which is interesting, and we could see that iteration of a lineup at some point.
So I go from Merrifield at 5, Jansen or Kirk 6, and then Varsho at 7 as our lefty. So he's, the bottom of our B team of this half. And then Chapman as the cleanup hitter of the bottom half, if you will. So I'm probably going to get some pushback on this, having Merrifield hit that high and having Chapman hit that low. And then Kiermaier would be number 9, and he's the pseudo leadoff leading into Springer. I like the idea of Merrifield and Kiermaier. Those are going to be our 2 biggest speedster threats, I think, on the base paths, our biggest threats to steal. So if they can get on base, I like what they can do. The idea of having Kiermaier, I know he's not a high on base percentage guy, but if he could get on 25% of the time even, and that's 1 extra at bat per game where George Springer has a speedster on base in front of him, someone aggressive who's going to be distracting the pitcher. I like that. So
I
also hate this assignment. So
yeah, I like what you did there. I like what you did there. It's funny because I'm not passionate about the lineup in any way, I'm just however they decide to do it, I'm sure it's going to be fine. And if it's not, then they're going to move it around until it is or at least that better be what they're going to do. Right. So
I think both of us are probably some of the worst people to ask this question of, because I know there are. And when we do long toss, by the way, we have long toss coming up this Sunday. So 2-hour roundtable with, some of the regulars and some of the other content creators. Might get a prospect on there. Might get Anthony Telford back this Sunday.
That'd be awesome.
There are people who are passionate and have very strong feelings about batting order. I don't think either of us are either of those guys. Am I speaking for you when I say that, or?
No, I'm curious. It's funny. I don't personally feel passionate about the way it should be lined up, but I am super curious to see how they go about doing it. And it is a very interesting wrinkle with these 2 big lefty capable lefty bats in Varsho and Belt, and how they use them to split up the right-handed hitters, which is, I think, something that they are going to try and do. I'm really curious to see how high a Belt or a Varsho winds up hitting, if they do crack that top 3 of the lineup, or if they're going to stick with the top 4 they had last year, which would also be completely fine. If it is Springer, Bo, Vladdy, or Kirk, however they want to do it, I'm fine with it as long as it's working, right? And I think most fans are in that boat. But if you have a unique batting order in your head and you want the people to know, feel free to drop it in the comments here.